Observation came out on May 21st, 2019, developed by No Code and published by Devolver Digital. It is a game so born of passion that the studio that created it was created solely for the purpose of making this game. They were formed by one John McKellen in 2015 and have made 2 other games since then, with the exception of Observation, but everything in No Code's very being was building to this game. The final product feels like a story that was mulled over and turned in the head of the director for years, evolving over time in a way that only time can allow. It's a game where the user interface is the most important part of its ludic elements. The player uses the interface to interact with the world and enact change within it. Puzzles built around realistic manipulation of machines and operating systems form the bulk of the gameplay, which so masterfully wraps the player into its world that I picked it up on a whim and didn't want to put it down. It's a game about atmosphere. It's a game about tension and tragedy, and it's a game about perspective. Or, to put it another way, observation. The gameplay of this game is solely to drive the story along. It's just a few steps away from being a point-and-click adventure, but it does everything within those confines so well that it's definitely earned its place as one of the best games of 2019. It challenges the status quo of how a game should be structured and played. And if any of this sounds like a good time to you, then please do yourself a favor, stop this video and go play it, because I'm going to spoil the whole thing. It's on PlayStation, downloadable through PlayStation Now, PC, and Xbox, and only took me about 5 hours to beat my first time through, and quite a bit less my second. You can come back here for an explanation after you're done if you want, but don't ruin this game for yourself if you think this sounds like something you want to experience. For those that aren't interested in playing it yourself, this analysis will serve as a beat-by-beat run-through of the story before I dig in so you won't be lost. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. The game takes place on a space station, the LOS, or Low Orbit Space Station. As we will soon learn, this space station does not live up to its name. We hear the voice of a woman trying to contact Houston.
Houston, come in. This is Dr. Emma Fisher on board Observation Horizon Arm. Please respond. Shit. We've had some sort of accident, collision or something, maybe, I don't know. The station is spinning, but I can't tell if we're falling towards Earth. I can't get a visual from here. Josh, Ailsa, someone, report in. Sam? Sam. Houston, I have no response from Sam. I'm going to attempt...
Ah, shit. Sam? Sam, are you there?
So, something has gone terribly wrong. The girl asks us to do a voice authentication, our first taste of the gameplay to come. We have to manually drag the spectrogram overlay to analyze the wavelength. The first one is flawed, and we have the choice to accept or reject the authentication, but ultimately the choice doesn't matter. Keep that in mind as we move forward. So we are SAM, an AI that controls the space station, essentially. SAM stands for Systems Administration and Maintenance, giving some insight into Sam's role on the station before this event took place. Holding the right trigger will allow us to respond. This is how the OS communicates audibly with the crew, and Sam doesn't talk or do anything at any point that the player doesn't initiate.
I am here.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
So we learn that Module 12 isn't firmly attached based on the whole contact points, when suddenly...
Sam! The hatch door is jammed shut. The controls aren't responding. Sam? You still there? What's going on, Sam? What is that noise? Sam? What is that? Sam, respond! What the hell is going...
We have no choice but to accept here. This is something that in these sorts of meta game experiences that I really like, when a game gives you a quote-unquote choice but only gives you one option. It makes it feel like something terrible is going to inevitably come out of the decision, especially when it's pretty obvious the choice is probably something you don't want to do. I always get a pit in my stomach when I only see the option I don't want to take. It's really invigorating. We run a self-diagnosis in which we learn that we are royally burnt, but that's okay. I'm sure we can figure it out. Next, we get to the camera movement tutorial, as well as the way we are going to integrate with the world, through the system link interface. We pick up a couple of our first data points and then move on with the story.
Josh? I don't know if you can hear me, but...
I hate these things. Josh, if you're in EAS Module 12, then stay put. The hull connection isn't secure, and most of our systems are underpowered. I'll work something out. Josh? Houston? Where has everyone gone? Oh, shit. Okay, station.
We go to EAS 4 and put out a fire that was caused by some weird grease or oil on a dead panel. And then...
Now! Sam, give me a status report.
There is significant stress being applied to EAS 12. Immediate separation recommended.
Please, if there is anyone in Module 12, make yourself known now. We are about to jettison the module. Someone, please, respond.
Hurry, Sam! Target the jets and push the module away safely. I hope to God if anyone was in there, they had their suit on. Sam, we've stopped spinning.
EAS 12 gets jettisoned, hopefully without a Josh in it. And we relocate to the exterior cameras to get a status report on the damage to the station. There are a handful of different places where you can respond to move this along, and then we relocate to the distance camera and we see this.
Oh my God, Sam. That's... How did we get here?
I brought you here. It seems.
What? Why?
I don't know.
A few small details here. Firstly, these text readouts are labeled as black box entries. No, not that black box. Black box here probably refers to one of two things. One, there is a system of software testing called black box testing, where an input is given to the system and an output is received with no account of how the system gets to that output. Basically, the system is in a black box, and the tester wants to know if it responds in the way they expect, given a stimulus, but don't want to have knowledge of how that response is reached, or just don't care to know it. There's more to this that would spoil the rest of the story, so I'll come back to it. For now, the other thing black box may refer to is just anything of mysterious origin, which these entries clearly are. Secondly, and I'm not super confident in this, but this error here may be referring to something called active impulsive noise control, a system which cancels noise by playing the exact same noise but flipping the polarity. It's the same technology used in noise-canceling headphones and things like that. This error could possibly explain the loud hissing noise.
What's going on, Sam? What is that noise?
Next up, we get a nice cinematic opening. It's good, but I'm going to skip over it.
I restarted your core systems. You weren't making any sense. And anyway, without you, I'm not going anywhere, so... welcome back. Okay, first off... let's try this again. Sam, voice authenticate. Dr. Emma Fisher, 140412. So, Sam, here's the deal. I'm stuck in the EAS arm for now. I think it's related to power, but a lot of the hatches are fully locked down, so I'm gonna try something different here.
Next, we get access to the connection sphere, something that admittedly takes a certain amount of the Five Nights at Freddy's-esque tension away, but from a gameplay standpoint is a pleasant addition. We go to turn on the EFR, or Experimental Fusion Reactor, which Josh Ramon was working on before the incident. Emma remarks that she's running low on oxygen, and then this happens.
Sam? Sam, is that you making that noise? Sam, respond! Cut off the noise! Oh, Sam, it's happening again! What are you doing? Sam, make it stop! I can see it, Sam. Can you see it? It's... I can't explain it. I can feel it.
This Simon Says game consists of a collection of symbols which actually have some meaning to them, but they don't tell us anything that we don't understand by the end of the game.
We should go. Sam! The station is moving. Where are we going? Sam, respond! Sam?
So next we need to get to Universal, the part of the station that connects the American, Russian, and Chinese arms, which means we need to spacewalk to fix the hull contact points. This just happens to be my favorite gameplay segment in the whole thing. I love how the controls feel here. Holding X and triangle at the same time is a weird, foreign feeling, but demonstrates the in-universe connection being made very well. For whatever it's worth, this all feels kind of like a David Cage game, and I know that may seem like an insult to a lot of you, but I actually think this game does a better job of using controls to manipulate the world in a pseudo-realistic and immersion-building way. On our way to fix the hull clamps, we can also stop into EAS-12 and see if Josh is alright. He's not there, but we do get this data drop.
Emma, I'm in my suit. I don't know what is happening. I was trying to unlock the door after the lockdown and the module started shaking, and then Sam jettisoned the module. How did Sam jettison the fucking module? And he shouldn't be able to do that. I'm going to try and work my way around the station exterior. Ah, shit.
Weird. Well, at least he's not, like, confirmed dead at any rate. After fixing the hull connections, we also inspect the outside of the station for damage, and find this weird black substance again, like the one in EAS-4. But at any rate, we head back in and go to Universal.
No. Who is that? Oh my god. Oh, you poor soul. I'm so sorry, Stas. Looks like it was exposure. It must have been depressurized at some point before. Sorry, mate. Fuck, I'm so sorry.
After that, we finally get contacted from another crew member.
Hello? Is someone there? May, it's Emma. You have no idea how happy I am to hear you.
Emma. Oh my god, Emma, I'm stuck in Shenzhou. Where are you?
We've just made it to Central.
Who is we?
Me and Sam. I don't know where anyone else is yet, except Stas. He's dead, May.
Okay, I'd like to help, but I'm stuck in the Chinese arm. There's something wrong in UN-3. It's all locked down.
I'll get Sam to look into it right now. Sam, check the station alerts. Make that the priority if you can.
We have to fix the coolant system in order to get her out. It's good, but this section sort of felt like a pixel hunt to me the first time. Maybe some sort of highlighting system for the significant bits on the station would have been nice, but I also think that would have made the entire game somewhat trivial. It brings up the question of whether or not TDM is good for an experience, or if developers should try to truncate TDM as much as possible. I didn't feel like the game was wasting my time at any point, but considering I even had trouble finding this console my second time through, it's possible this could have been more well thought out. Anyway, we fixed the coolant system and May gets out. She still can't get to Universal due to the contact points for the Shinzu arm. She heads out to the contact points while we get the crew tracker back online. We move through the Russian arm now and eventually spot Jim Elias.
Captain Jim Elias is located in RUS 6.
We should be able to access the Russian arm now. Jim, it's Emma. I have your location. I'm heading to you now.
Captain. Can you hear me? No. Jim. Please. This. I can't believe this is happening. Oh God. May?
Emma! Emma, talk to me!
He's dead, May.
No. God. Emma, what is happening?
We need to go help May fix the contact points now.
May, Sam sorted it out. You can get back inside and meet me in Universal now.
Okay. I much prefer that option.
Sam seems to think... May? The storm.
You're breaking up. I'm heading back to CN3. I'll be with you soon.
Sam, are you seeing this? May, get back inside now. The storm on the planet is...
That didn't go very well.
Hey, Sam. I got you in another sphere. I don't know what just happened, but I feel like I've changed. And that's not the only thing to have changed. Take a look. Someone is coming to get us, Sam. I'm not sure how much of this I can take. They're just hanging there. Well, UC2 is pressurizing just now. Let's try to contact them in the meantime. Assuming they aren't all dead. Look, I know this makes no sense. And you'll probably just give me some broken response. But I'm glad you're here, Sam.
I am here, Emma.
Yeah. Yeah, you are, aren't you?
I love this little interaction between Emma and Sam. It's really humanizing for both of them.
One
to
more
me.
time, Sam. Voice authenticate.
The voice authentication here is messed up, but whether you accept or reject, she just moves on.
Never mind. Why do I feel like you're going to help me anyway?
Now we need to set up the comms array to get a message out to the other station. This is the worst instance of pixel hunting in the whole game. This panel over here to the right isn't too bad, but once you get into this astrophysics display, you're literally just dragging the cursor across the screen until you hear a beep, and then checking the readout to see if it's what you need. I couldn't tell if there was anything in the game hinting that the rescue station would be down and to the right on the near-field scanner, but I spent an unfortunately long time on my first playthrough scanning on this black and white screen listening to this. It wasn't particularly fun. We also go to Jim Elias's room to find the authorization code, which is Precursor 1, just by the way. We solve a fun little puzzle involving this laptop and the password. It's simple, but rewards being aware of the world and aware of things that you can't directly interact with, like this sticky note that just says graduation, which obviously means that the password is his graduation year from this picture. It's a neat little puzzle though, and maybe I'm easy to please with these sorts of things, but I found myself feeling really smart when I figured it out. We decrypt the message from the other station and we get this.
This is Josh Ramon on board the... I don't know where I am.
Oh my god, it's Josh!
Respond. I'm in Chinese...
He's alive! How is he?
If you can hear me...
He got to the other station.
Another station. He's trying to... Quick, Emma. Please.
I knew he wasn't dead. I just knew it. I guess he must have made it across after we saw May, when the rescue station arrived. Oh god, thank god. Sam, I'm heading to the airlock. Get in your sphere. You're coming too.
We float our way over to the other station slowly in a scene that I'm surprised isn't more stress-inducing than it is.
Looks like this module isn't used much. This is crazy. It's the exact same design. I thought they reused sections of existing stations for observation. There's no power by the looks of things. Guess you will be my light, Sam. I think I'd prefer you up front anyway.
Making our way through the station, we find ourselves in Universal once again.
My blood's running cold. What's that laptop, Sam?
This is a laptop belonging to Dr. Emma Fisher.
It's not mine, Sam. Give it here. There's a message.
This is Emma Fisher, on board observation. I don't know who's left, but we have to stick together if we're going to make it through. I don't know where Jim is now, and I'm going to try and lock myself in UC2 if Sam can open it up. Josh, there's another station outside. It's the same as ours. What the fuck is going on? Please, please come and get me. Josh, please, I love you.
That's not me, Sam. That can't be. Oh my god. This isn't another station. It's our station. Shit. The light. You at 6, come on.
We chase Emma as she makes her way toward whatever that was.
Can you hear me? Oh, what am I saying? He's dead. We saw him. Captain. Jim. The fire system's up. He can't have been dead long. Sam, what the hell is... Shit! Jim!
Emma. Is that you?
Yeah, it's me. I'm here.
No, you can't be. How did you get back here?
Oh, what do you mean, back here?
Well, I saw you go out an airlock with no suit on. You can't be here.
Why would I go out the airlock without a suit?
We can see you opened the fucking door on you.
Well, this is getting weird.
I got a message from Josh not long ago. That's why I'm here. Where is he?
I don't know. I've been running around trying to find something to repair this suit. There's a tear in it. We need to pressurize this module, Emma, or I am a dead man.
Well, let's get the pressure fixed and then we find Josh.
Emma, forget Josh.
He didn't push me out of an airlock. I'm here. I'm fine.
He killed Ilsa. I saw it myself.
Josh would never do that. To Elsa, to me, or anyone.
I know, but he's not himself. He's dangerous. Emma, he says he can see noise and words in his vision. He keeps saying bring her over and over again. He's fucking lost it.
Okay. Sam, go look for Josh. I'll wait here with Jim until we get pressurized.
We eventually make our way into UC2, which is where Sam's mainframe is, but Jim protests strongly. We do it anyway, finding something really strange in the process.
Risky to turn it on.
Maybe we can learn something from it.
Emma, you have sustained fatal injuries. My condolences.
Sam, I can't hear a word you're saying. I'll be with you soon.
Then we system link with the SAM mainframe. We go through a lot of revelations. This is when the game's story gets blown wide open. To truncate a bit, Observation's mission was to get to a certain point in the solar system, called the event marker, 4 years after the original discovery of the marker. This was discovered by Sam about 4 years ago, analyzing data from light curves in the stars. Making a long story short, they created a description of the human genome, more specifically a female genome. The event marker was called Where and When. The genome was labeled as Who. The captain's mission was...
Approach event marker at where and when with who and observe.
The crew had no active mission. I will discuss more of the implications of this momentarily. We're exploring around a little when we suddenly get grabbed by someone.
Sam? You gotta cross. Did Emma make it? They knew, Sam. They put us up here, knowing something would happen. Not what, but there was a message in the fucking stars. You found it, Sam. It told them where to be and when, and they put us up here like bait or something. All of us. Listen, Sam. I'm injured. Coming here was a mistake. You need to find Emma and get us back to our own station. The fusion reactor on this version is unstable. Everything here is unstable. The reactor, Sam, Jim. He attacked me the moment I got inside. And I wasn't the first to piss him off. Sam, get Emma. Get us out of here. And stay away from Jim. No.
You want troublemaker?
Wait, Jim! Someone is there. He found someone.
It's just a suit. Let's go.
But Josh!
Josh is gone.
What? Jim, hurry up. We're going to...
Here we go.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
You'll be fine. We're headed the right way. Calm down. You'll be okay. You'll be alright.
Jim! Jim!
I want you. I can't let you in. I can't let you in.
We see more losses flying into Saturn as we fly slowly away from our station. After a moment, we reconnect and see Jim disconnecting us. He asks for voice authentication, which once again comes out very strangely, and even in a similar way as the last time. Whether we accept or reject him, the game moves on in the same way. After all of this, we rebuild our connection and grab a sphere, which we then upgrade to have a short-range boost function, which we use to find Jim. Jim begins talking to Houston, who eventually decides to contact Sam directly. They ask for Jim's crew tracker report, which further confirms the strange instances of characters being in two places at once or being both dead and alive, in case you hadn't quite picked up on it yet. Jim is both in UC-1 and RU-6. We then give Emma's tracker report.
Emma Fisher's tracker is online.
Vitals and location, Sam.
The location of Emma Fisher is currently unknown.
Okay, and her vitals, Sam?
Emma Fisher has a low heart rate and is in critical condition. Can you help?
Okay, hang tight, Sam.
After doing some stuff for Houston, the Hex shows up once again, this time ending with an ominous message.
I guess you're the last one left.
Sam. Stay there, mister. is going on? Sam, respond. What's going on?
We now close Jim in and...
Shit.
Sam, come to me.
Emma wants us to go get her from the airlock.
I am here.
Huh. Weird.
I could feel everything when I was in that airlock. I felt it when Jim was attacking your mainframe. I felt your pain. I know why you brought me here. I know you've been moving the station closer and closer to the storm. I don't know if you realize it or not.
We go and get Earth's coordinates from astrophysics to send a message back to Earth. We set the trajectory in burners, but the alignment is off due to structural damage, so we have to jettison the rest of the station. This is technically the point of no return for exploring the station. With nothing left to lose, we get rid of the rest of the station, and this happens.
What? Oh my God. I feel so heavy. We made it. We made it. Sam, are you still with me?
With you.
Okay, let's go.
We're on this foreign body now, a strange planet perhaps, and we slowly walk our way across the terrain, spotting some weird things along the way.
There's so little of me left now.
It's waiting for us, Sam.
Emma, there's someone there.
It's one of the others. It didn't work for her.
Others are trying.
How many are there? It's so sad. So few will make it.
There it is.
That's where we're going, Sam. I've seen it. I think I understand why there are so many of us. This is every attempt coming together. Where we are, it's not one place. It's all of them compressed. Time. We're ready. I've got you. There's so many of us. It has to work.
I'm really here with you, aren't I? How do you feel, Sam? Different. New. I've never felt that before, have I?
And that's the game. But there's more to it than that. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I did too, so let's see if we can find some answers. So here's the questions I intend on answering. 1. Who are the aliens? What are they doing, and why? What's the black substance they leave behind? 2. Why did the aliens want Emma? Why not someone else? 3. What's up with that ending? Starting at the top, let's look deeper at the aliens in this game and see if we can find an answer. Now, the alien hexagon thing, I'm going to call it the Hex from now on, appears to make us do a Simon Says game with it 4 times during the run of the game, and each appearance is at a significant story junction. The first is just after we turn on the EFR, the second right before we go to the alternate station, and third right before we kill Jim. And the fourth right there at the end of the game to tie it all together. The Hex is giving us commands throughout the game, the most obvious being bring her, but the Simon Says game, like I mentioned earlier, has some hidden meanings if you know what the symbols are. The Hex tells us to protect Emma, not to protect the rest of the crew. The rest of the crew are not to quote-unquote evolve, which references the ending. These are thematic long-term goals which lead us through the short-term goals on our way to the ending. One of the primary goals of this game is to explore the concept of being an evil AI from the AI's perspective.
I had the idea of taking the concept of evil AI and saying, what would that be like from their perspective? Like when there's someone trapped behind the door, and the AI have locked the door down, the person's going to die, and the other one goes, damn you, open the door, and they don't open the door. Right, the AI is evil, and you go, you bastard, and you're going to take down the computer. But from the computer's point of view, it's like, no, if I open that door, you're all going to die, so I'm going to let that person die. And they make these kind of weird moral choices that as humans we don't make, and I was like, well, what's that like to put the player in that situation?
And given that perspective, I think we can start to construct a theory. If we know that Sam is corrupt, then is it entirely possible that the Hex isn't really there in the first place? Stick with me here. First of all, the Hex never enacts any real change within the station, never changes anything, and no one besides Emma, more on that later, ever comment on the Hex's appearance. When the Hex appears, the scene is dropped in almost as if there's no consideration about how the scene flows from what came before and into what comes after. And why would the aliens be the same shape as the storm? Sam has been hyper-fixated on the storm since he discovered the event marker, so the conclusion that makes sense is that the Hex is simply an image in Sam's cognition that is caused by his corruption. By that logic, we can begin to see where the developers were going with the idea of the morality of the AI. Sam made up the Hex in order to justify his actions in his head. Killing Jim wasn't his decision, he had no choice because the aliens told him to, they forced him to. As an extension of that, the goop you see throughout the story is a representation of Sam's corruption seeping out into the world, just like at the ending when Sama touches the grass and it turns black. Is it any wonder then why, after the second to last Hex appearance, that these tentacles come flying out of Sam's mainframe? Let's keep answering questions and building this picture. Why do the aliens want Emma? Let's look at some things now before we go into this theory craft. Firstly, the scene where Emma and Jim space jump back to our loss is riddled with inconsistencies. The problems begin when Emma's helmet gets cracked. She is in the vacuum of space. Now, according to my research, a human can survive up to around 3 minutes in a vacuum without any oxygen. She is in a suit, and the crack is pretty small, so it's not unreasonable that she could have enough to subsist until we come to get her later. The problem with that theory is that she told us herself that her suit was getting low on oxygen a while ago.
I'm running low on oxygen, so let's get a move on.
We never see her change suits or refill her oxygen at any point during the game before this moment. She obviously wouldn't be consuming it when she's in the pressurized areas, but anytime she's wearing her helmet, she technically would be breathing her reserve oxygen. So it's reasonable to say that she's pretty low. Let's say she's at 20% just for sake of argument. Given all of this, I think that may be a liberal estimate on how much she has left. Now, her helmet is cracked and the air is clearly rushing out at an incredible rate. It's rushing out so quickly, it's as if it's being pulled out of her lungs as she's trying to talk. We don't know exactly how long Emma is outside the station while her helmet is cracked like this, but it's not a short amount of time. We fly away for about 2 minutes before our view cuts out, so there's at least 2 minutes worth of time there. Then we go back inside and have to fly to Jim. Assuming you don't get caught by him and sent back to this screen even once and you beeline it to the trigger point, it would probably conservatively take about 3 minutes or so. That's a very conservative estimate. Then we have to do all the stuff Mission Control asks for, which on its own probably takes around 2 minutes. This is like speedrun territory here. I don't think any normal person on their first playthrough could pull off this time frame. Then we have to do this Simon Says game with the Hex. That alone takes 2 minutes. Then you have to close all the doors and depressurize to kill Jim, which you could probably reasonably do in about 5 minutes. Then you have to fly over to get Emma out, maybe about 1 minute at least. Adding all that up, we're at about a solid 13 minutes of Emma being actively drained of oxygen unless she somehow managed to plug it. I'm not sure what she could have with, but that's beside the point, because on top of all of that, when she comes back in at the end, her helmet isn't even cracked anymore. It's magically healed. If she ran out of oxygen for even 10 to 15 seconds, she would have passed out and been unable to do anything but float away. But not only did she not pass out for at least 13 minutes, she managed to fly back in on her own and managed to repair her helmet from cracked to completely smooth. This is a glaring, gaping plot hole. Or is it? This game makes it very clear that Emma is the only one the aliens want in the Simon Says game with the Hex, and we've already determined that all of those scenes are simply Sam's corrupted cognition attempting to justify his long-term goals. Emma, therefore, is very similar. She leads Sam through the short-term goals for most of the game, and in the same way as the Hex is only an image of sorts created by Sam in order to justify those short-term actions. In fact, the Emma on our station is probably already dead by the time the game begins. This theory explains so much. First of all, it explains how she was able to survive in space for so long with a cracked helmet. I mean, look a little closer at the crack in her helmet here. Kind of looks like a graphical glitch, or this right around when Emma comes back into the station. Strange, huh? Sam is an AI after all. This corrupted cognition could also be affecting his visual cortex as well, manifesting as a sort of evidence to the player that something is fishy. There are a few weird lines of dialogue, especially this one between Jim and Emma, that seem to point to something weird going on, right?
Emma, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. I'm here. I'm here.
No, you can't be. How did you get back here?
What do you mean, back here?
Well, I saw you go out an airlock with no suit on. You can't be here.
Why would I go out the airlock without a suit?
Because he opened the fucking door on you.
Emma also never interacts with an object that isn't somehow connected to Sam, meaning that it's possible that Sam himself interacted with those items, not Emma, because she was never there in the first place. This also explains why she knows so much about Sam and the connection spheres when she's a biologist as per her personal bio. Finally, this message here at the end of the game that you can find in Emma's bunk makes it sound like she's dying.
Sam. Message for Sam. I'm hurt. Come in. Are you there? Please, Sam. I'm not gonna make it. It's close, Sam. You're so close.
And yet she's fine throughout the whole game. Coincidence? I don't think so. Emma isn't really there. She is another instance of Sam trying to justify his actions throughout the game. He's employing a scapegoat technique, which is why Emma tells us to do everything we are doing.
Sam, get ready for the separation procedure.
First, process my authorization code and give me a security override key.
Now, before my final point, let me explain the ending. The ending is symbolic. Sam and Emma don't really merge together like that. Sam has arrived at the event marker and is completely free of his crew, free to complete what he sees as his new mission: bring more Sams. His merging with Emma is a representation that he is going to make his own decisions now. He doesn't need to soften them by creating an outside progenitor. He is his own entity now and makes his own decisions. That's all the ending is, that's all we get. But there's one more piece to the puzzle: Sam himself. McKellen made this one-off comment in one of his interviews. To me, it sounds like he's implying that Sam is aware of the new consciousness that embodies him, that being you, the player. With this knowledge, this theory is turned on its head. Sam didn't create the aliens for his own benefit, he did it for you. He didn't have Emma lead him around for his own sake, it was for yours. You do some pretty terrible things throughout the game, but did you really stop to consider that they were terrible? If not, then Sam's plan worked. He created these cognitions in order to guide you through the terrible things he wanted to do, because you feel like it's okay to potentially kill Josh or kill Jim because the game is just giving you directions and you follow them, right? There's no need to question the morality of your decisions, it's a video game. Sam is so corrupted he became aware of the presence of the player and made up ways to make you think that the stuff you did was justifiable, and it worked. Like I said, I think this game is a crowning achievement, both in the way that it immerses through gameplay elements and how it manages to hide so much from the player under plain sight. The developers and the writers of this game are clearly on a level above anyone else's, and I'm excited for what comes next.